Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of Diablo 2 on Hardcore. So, this is going to be our last progression episode on Nightmare difficulty, after which I'm going to plunge myself into the lovely activity of farming. But more on that later. For now, let's officially complete the Barb Rescue quest from before. And the reward for it is always the same, so of course these runes are not going to be as impactful this time around. But still, we're going to add them to our stockpile, and also we're going to let poor Deckard Cain identify something for us, because we still have that rare staff from the previous episode. And it seems like a decent meteor staff, but you can get better if you make the leaf rune word into a proper base staff, so we're just going to take the money for this one. And also we're going to deposit those fresh runes into our stash before paying Nihlathak a visit. We are going to start out with him. And on our way we're going to also speak to Anya, who by now has the potential of giving us a pretty decent orb. In our situation, of course, it doesn't really matter all that much anymore since we have Spirit, but there is still a chance that she would be able to provide us with a very nice specialized situational orb, something like +2 to Sorceress skill levels, and then +3 to a particular skill on top of that, something like Energy Shield, for example. Of course, not this time, but it is a possibility for the future. But anyway, here we're going to start our episode by getting a quick Pindleskin kill, and then we're going to venture deeper into Nihlathak's hideout. And here on level 1 I'm first going to scour through the southern regions in search of an exit, and we'll see what kind of map layout we were given. Of course, since this is Nightmare, you can see that Nihlathak has also updated and expanded his selection of employees. And we're going to be able to encounter some different monsters this time. On one of these levels he can have the Zealots and Priests from Act 3, so I guess Nihlathak is capable of acquiring some fanatics of his own and swaying them to his cause. When it comes to this map layout though, it doesn't look too promising. I think this is going to be the top right exit, but let's make sure here, and the bottom left, if there is something. Yeah, it is going to be to the top right. And I am going to be stopping by here and there to get a few kills, get some experience along the way, especially if we happen to come across a special group of some sort. Even if it's these tomb creepers. But yeah, we're going to steadily make our way to the top right, where the exit is going to lie. Yeah, it seems like the monster density here on level 1 wasn't too great. Oh, maybe now that I said that, we're encountering a decent horde. So let's take advantage of that and get some more experience. Alright, and into the second level we go. Oh, there were the fanatics. And we get the same layout we had on normal here, so we know that the exit is going to be to the bottom left. But again, let's get some fighting done here and there. These guys are pretty fun to kill. And we are getting close to that level 61. They are meeting us with some numbers here, some resistance. Pretty decent situation. Might even get a level up out of this whole thing after we're done killing everything they have to offer. There we go. Alright, and this is going to be the last level up we needed to max out Meteor. Now the next order of business is going to be pumping up Fireball. But more on that a little bit later. Let's first check out... Alright, again we're going to have the same situation we had on normal here, with Nihlathak being to the top left. And even though on Nightmare his corpse explosions are not super deadly yet, I think I am going to employ the tactic of not giving him any corpses to work with, if possible. We're going to see what kind of situation we're going to encounter in his chamber. But it should be doable to just selectively use meteors only on him, and then only after he is dead to clear out the room and see what we can do there. Yeah, it should be doable. Alright, now that he is dead, we can resume fighting normally. And yeah, as for Fireball, this is going to be our next skill to max out. And together with Meteor, it is going to complete our Fire duo of skills. That is going to be very useful on Hell with dealing with stuff. We're going to have a spammable Fire skill that we can use in or during Meteor's cooldown. Alright, nothing there. We are going to have some stuff to deposit. And now, before we complete this quest, I just wanted to mention something, because there was, when we did this on normal, there was a comment from someone being very disappointed that I didn't personalize the Nagel ring we got with Nasharin's name, but that is actually impossible. Anya cannot personalize jewelry items, and we can even demonstrate that, but from the items that are eligible for that reward, we don't have the perfect selection this time either, but maybe Nasharin's Frostburn is going to have a decent ring to it. And we're going to continue the tradition of personalizing gauntlets.
What are your needs?
Yeah, so here the game just simply doesn't allow me to drop the ring into that slot, but it is possible with gauntlets. So let's behold Nasharin's Frostburn. And perhaps we're going to have some better options on Hell, if we do manage to get that far and get to that reward. I've mentioned before that Nihlathak on Hell, that's one of my least favorite places in the whole game, I think. But anyway. And now we just needed to stock up on mana before going back into the Ancient's Way. Because our next destination is going to be the trial of combat against the Ancients. I wanted to see also if we got some decent monsters here to kill, but it's not going to be worth it to waste time on them. Here I am going to bind the town portal as a spell that we can just cast with our right click, just to be able to quickly and conveniently reset the Ancients if we need to. If we need to do so, because now they are going to have some random powers, and in case one of them happens to be immune to cold, for example, it is going to be beneficial to just reset that. So let's see. Seems like we have an okay selection. No reset necessary. Oh, and you can't observe it, of course, by just watching the footage. But what happened there was, again, Korlig being really annoying with his jumps. And just as a reminder, when he leaps in the air, the spot he is going to land in, his landing position, is already occupied, and is kind of an invisible wall that can block our path and kind of complicate our kiting route. And that was the case. So generally it's much safer to just teleport around, even if the situation doesn't exactly call for it. But anyway, here we are done with the Ancients already. We get another level up and we can start spending our points into Fireball. And now let's see what awaits us in the Worldstone Keep. And look at what a great host Baal is. Look at how welcoming he is to all of these monsters from the different acts. His hospitality knows no bounds. I am going to pick up that rejuve. Is that another special group of champions? Yes, it is. in general, pretty decent selection of monsters here on this level. Their danger level is not too high. So in case we don't find the exit too quickly, it's not going to be too bad. Getting some experience by doing some fighting against these guys. Guess my teleport's getting stuck on some objects and whatnot. I was just thinking for a moment about that exceptional forearm there, the superior one, but we would have to use Larzuk's quest reward for it, and I think it goes up to 5 sockets actually, and not 4, so it wouldn't be good for our insight. That's unfortunate. I wouldn't have any qualms about using Larzuk's socket reward on like a bill, for example, that goes up to 4 sockets, and that would be our starting insight polearm. Would do very nicely for that purpose, but yeah, at this item level, a lot of these polearms... Oh, there's a... No. For a moment I thought that was a partisan with some sockets. But yeah, at this item level, unfortunately, a lot of polearms just go up to 5 or 6 sockets. And we don't really have any more materials to do any of those Horadric Cube recipes to roll a certain amount of sockets, and also it wouldn't be, you know, we wouldn't have that great of a chance to roll 4 sockets if a polearm goes up to a higher number, because then, you know, if it rolls 5 or 6, it wouldn't default back to 4, like it was the case with our broadsword, and the reason why we did it that way. And when it comes to the materials for that we're going to have a use for, the perfect amethysts are once again going to come in handy because they are used in the process of crafting caster jewelry, and I think we very well might craft some caster amulets. Even if you're playing normally on like Battle.net, not in, you know, poor gear conditions like our run here, it is a very good crafting recipe to do, because these caster amulets for a sorceress can be very nice. Right, here we have an exit, but we still need the waypoint. Impossible. And we know that it's going to be to the left of this tile, so I'm going straight there to look for it, but yeah, those caster amulets, they have a potential to be very, very good. Of course, you do have to get lucky in the process of crafting, but you know, those perfect amethysts are probably going to be most worthwhile spent on doing caster jewelry. Like, we'll see what our situation is going to be, but it is a very likely target. Alright, here the monster density is very good. Let's actually take advantage of that. We're getting some pretty good experience. I can't carry anymore. It's a shame that serpent skin armor over there wasn't unique, because that would mean that would be the skin of the Viper Magi, a very, very good chest piece for any caster. And when it comes to our gear, we are going to need a lot of upgrades, because the items we have like are either not very good to begin with, or are just simply outdated by now. Something like stealth can be a good example of that. Of course, it's great when you get it at level 17, but at this point in the game, it doesn't do all that much for us, and it would be very nice to get an upgrade, and there are a couple of upgrades for it that are very much on the realistic side. We do have the materials to make smoke, for example, if we are going to need a lot of resistances, but also that Skin of the Viper Magi is a realistic drop. It's not that uncommon. We are likely to see it drop for us during some of our farming sessions. And a Cold Resist 9 on a large charm, I don't know, maybe if we're desperate, I am going to hold on to that. We're going to see what our resistance situation is going to be on Hell. Poison resist is not that important. Here we have, again, not something that is going to be useful for us. Unfortunately, that rare ring, not that great. I'm just going to quickly dump everything here, and then we're going to restock once again for the remainder of our adventure in the Worldstone Keep. So I might get one antidote already. Alright, and now let's see what level 3 is going to offer us. Fortunately, those are not the cold immune succubi. I'm not teleporting all that much before we can assess the threat level of this area, the danger level here. Alright, it doesn't seem to be that high. We should be fine.
I can't carry anymore.
Right now we can afford to be a little bit more bold. That mummified trophy has a potential of selling decently well, but of course we do have a lot of money. Well, a lot of these items have some potential when it comes to their wealth level, but alright, let's take them. We're going to see what they can offer later.
I am overburdened.
Whatever. I was debating trying to Tetris out the inventory of ours to pick up those sharkskin gloves, but the payoff there most likely wouldn't be too great anyway. Let's just keep going. Okay, some full rejuves I am definitely going to pick up. Alright, there we go. Okay, on level in the throne room I was hesitant to start casting right away because it is a possibility that we can have, or we could have had, some dolls right at the entrance. And if you cast a frozen orb immediately and kill a couple of them, you know, near you, you can easily die. And unfortunately I have learned that lesson the hard way in the past. But it doesn't seem like we have any dolls. However, this undead crew here in the throne room can be a little problematic, not so much on Nightmare, but on Hell, especially if we have undead creatures in the throne room. Of course, you have to remember that the second wave with Akmel and his mummies... Okay, we do have dolls. I would like to maybe kite them out of this throne room, just so that the situation I'm about to describe doesn't happen to us. Akmel and his mummies, of course, can resurrect those dolls. And whenever you kind of least expect it, some of them might pop up, resurrected by the mummies, and you know, kind of get in front of your AoE spells or something and, you know, explode near you. And create some problems. Create some massive problems, especially on Hell. Right, here we can always precast a couple of meteors. Of course, we know where the enemies are going to spawn, so we can add some extra damage that way, and then just switch to Frozen Orb. Okay, here's our antidote. We also got a level, but we are going to do that level up in a moment. First, let's make sure to do these fights properly. Alright, here we have a second of peace. Especially since these Hydras need to despawn before Baal resumes this sequence. There's always a bit of a stutter that you might be able to notice whenever we deal with a wave before spawning a new one and doing his laugh. Baal creates that little bit of lag, that stutter, to further inconvenience us. Alright, there we go. But before we encounter Baal himself, let's just refresh our mana supplies. Check out these things. Poison resist 30. Whatever, we might save that Grand Charm for maybe re-rolling at some point. Also, I'm going to boost our cold resistance a little bit more by drinking these thawing potions against Baal. Alright, and now we're going to be ready. Look at him dodging that meteor. Alright, no worries. Nothing spectacular in terms of drops, unfortunately. Alright. Let's get this bow, and I think our... yeah, our cube is kind of busy there. Kind of occupied. Here we have a Wizen Draw. The magic arrows on it are rather low level, I think, but it's pretty useful for frozen arrow builds. And there are also some bows that fire explosive arrows. That actually reminds me of some weird skill interactions in the game. For example, if you suck at rubies in a bow, it's going to boost the damage of the explosive arrow skill of the Amazon. Oh, these are just disappointing. These spoils. But anyway, what I was about to say is that sometimes there are some pretty specific interactions between skills and certain types of gear that you can take advantage of. Alright, I think this is going to be it. Let's just sell a few of these things. And let's see if this is going to be anything decent. It does have some pretty good enhanced damage, and life leech already on it. Not too bad, overall, for a starting polearm. Yeah. Maybe before we get insight for our mercenary, let's actually hold on to that polearm. And anyway, our next order of business is going to be to do the cows on Nightmare, and you don't have to save and quit the game for that purpose, but let's actually enjoy our new title first, after completing Nightmare difficulty. Yeah, now we are going to be known as a Conqueror, so Nasharin is going to progress from being known as a Desotroya to being a Conqueror! Conqueror! The title for softcore is Champion. Again, both of them are nice. But anyway, now we are going to go into Nightmare once again, even though Hell was a possible option. But anyway, to do our summary, of course, we have completed all of our quests. Larzuk's one is not grayed out because we still have the Socket quest reward available from him. We also have all of the waypoints, and we have defeated all of the super uniques along the way. And I think we are just going to be ready to do the cows now.
Order welcomes you.
Let's just buy ourselves a nice stock of potions, and then we're going to be ready. Alright, here in the cow level, I'm going to have to specifically remind myself not to teleport here, like almost at all. And it's because even if you have a good FCR and FHR breakpoints, the cows attack extremely quickly. So basically the moment you are in their range, they are capable of getting those attacks off and complicating your life a lot. So here I'm going to have to resist with all of my strength of will the urge to teleport. I'm going to have to just somehow make it through here by just running slowly. Here, of course, as you can see, well, this guy is immune to both fire and cold, so we're not going to really prioritize killing him with some other tools at our disposal, like hiring a new mercenary or something just for that purpose. But as you can see, our killing speed here on Nightmare Cows is slower, and it's actually going to give us a bit of a taste of what's coming up, what awaits us on Hell. Because Frozen Orb, of course, on Hell is not going to be as spectacular when it comes to its damage, and it's going to, on average, take many more Frozen Orbs to kill our targets. And the cows, you know, they have a decently high health pools, but the thing is that, of course, they are so tightly stacked in those hordes that Frozen Orb just doesn't work too well in such circumstances. Alright, I think we have looted everything that was kind of worth looting. And anyway, all of those talkative cows, we're going to have to silence them forever. Alright, Mesh Belt, although we do have so many of these potential belts for Imbue already. We have like 3 Demon Hide sashes, I think, and 1 Mesh Belt, or something like that. And yeah, especially on higher players' numbers, you know, Frozen Orb here on the cows doesn't do that well. But of course, with some other classes, some other skills, you are going to have a bombastic time here, unlike Nightmare Cows. For example, if you play a Javazon with Lightning Fury, this is super fun. Killing these big hordes of cows with that. But here we're just going to have to be satisfied with somewhat clearing the place. Alright, we're already nearing the fortress of the Cow King. The Hall of the Cow King. But yeah, I'm not going to do it super thoroughly. You know, we're not going to kill every single cow here. Alright, is this the Cow King already? I think so. Yeah, there he is. Lord Beef, we meet again. Yeah, and also I don't think I'm going to do much farming here on cows. And even if I do, I am not going to kill the Cow King, of course, just like I did on normal. We're just going to, you know, put him to his final rest here on our run this time. But we're going to leave him alone for any future endeavors. Alright, now we had a lot of stuff to loot. I'm not sure if I didn't miss some kind of charm a little bit earlier, just kind of in the fervor of battle. Let me just double check. Alright, I think we're good. I think we didn't miss anything obvious. Heavy bracers would be a decent piece of equipment to imbue if we were a different class. Like for a Sorceress, gauntlets are not that great, but of course Assassin or Amazon, I can get some really good results from rare gloves. Right, 3 sockets, plus I think that Yari is considered a spear, and I think for insight you need specifically a polearm or a staff. If it had 4 sockets I would of course like double check all that and make sure, but here we don't even have to bother.
I need a key.
Alright, any other volunteers to get smacked by some icy projectiles? I'm hearing some charms drop, so we are going to possibly get something useful for it. Of course our charms could use an upgrade as well, like most of our stuff. Basically anything besides spirit and maybe lore I would like to upgrade. Maybe that rare ring that we have it could also do. But anyway, we're going to do a nice lap here on the Moo farm, and then I think we're going to be done with it, and from the next episode we are going to engage into some farming. I'm going to construct an episode probably from footage spaced across like different farming sessions. We'll see how that is going to work out, but of course with all of the adventures we've had today and the cow farm being cleared, we are going to be done with Nightmare in every sense of the word. So now all we're going to have to do is make a lot of preparations. A lot of preparations before we step into hell in order to increase our chances of triumph. And increase our chances of survival. Okay, see, that was what I was talking about. Just immediate attacks with those giant halberds or two-handed axes. Yeah. Cannot ever, like, let your mind be at ease and enter autopilot mode here on the cow farm. Never let your guard down.
I am overburdened.
Alright, just a few more cows, a few more groups perhaps, and I think we're going to be done. Oh, even another special group. Perhaps we can... I'm not sure how likely it is, but perhaps we can get even another level. And there he goes. I think we're probably going to end with just a tiny bit of experience. still needed for that last level up. But anyway, of course, during our farming sessions I am also going to level up just along the way, of doing various types of farming, and perhaps even specifically doing a couple of Baal runs maybe to get a couple more levels, a couple more skill points. And also to be more on the level of, you know, the starting like Act 1 Hell areas. I think they start at level like 68, but go up to 70 something. There's quite a big spread depending on the area, and of course on Hell we're going to have access right from Act 1 to areas of level 85, so it generally of course is a good idea to have a higher level. Just for all kinds of benefits that it can provide. Yeah, I think we are going to be a little bit short for that next level up, but no big deal. Anyway, I think this is going to be it when it comes to our nightmare adventures. And in the next episode, just like I said, we are going to do some farming. We'll see how this is all going to unfold. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.